Uruk has become lord of the Iron Islands and brought his vassals to heel, but he is still subject to the Iron Throne. In ages past, when the Iron Islands were one kingdom among many, our people could reave the mainland, paying the iron price for what we wanted. This is how things should be. This is the old way. To bring back these glorious times, the 7 kingdoms must be dissolved. When the weak can no longer hide behind the king, the Ironborn will arise and take their place as the masters of the continent. The realm has been unstable since the death of King Robert. His son was unable to hold on to power, so the kingship now belongs to the late king's brother, Renly. The 7 kingdoms are at peace for now, but that peace is fragile. Uruk sends his spies to the most powerful courts in the land to grow his influence and keep informed of the political situation in the land. In the meantime, we will take the Iron Fleet and go on a reaving in Essos. We set sail from our base in the Stepstones and set course for the Free Cities. Our targets were Tyrosh and Pentos. Uruk left a wake of fire through the lands, accumulating plunder as he went. Unfortunately, both the Tyroshi and the Pentoshi managed to catch and defeat us in battle, taking back most of what we took. But the reaving wasn't a total failure, as we had captured many nobles. Their ransoms alone made the whole endeavor worth it. While on the reaving, King Renly died of old age. His heir was his son Andros, but there was another claimant to the throne. Beric is the son of Robert. He was king before Renly and his brother took the crown by force. Now, both Renly and Stannis are gone, and he aims to take back what he believes is his by right. The Great Lords raised huge hosts in support of their preferred claimant. The conflict that became known as the Dance of the Stags lasted for 2 years. The war ended when Beric was captured and executed for a traitor. But Andros didn't long outlive him. Only a few months later, he died of injuries he sustained during the war. It is said that there were no true winners in the dance, for with no clear successor, the realm descended into anarchy. Once again, the realm was torn apart by war over succession. A son and a brother of the previous king both pressed their claim on the throne, and each called on the great lords of Westeros to help their cause. This time, however, no one answered. With the Lords Paramount recognizing no king, the authority of the Iron Throne was dissolved. The continent is now disunited, the driftwood crown rests upon our brow. The Ironborn are free to reave wherever they please, and King Uruk knows the perfect first target, King's Landing. The city is the symbol of Ironborn humiliation over the past 300 years. Burning it to the ground is the perfect way to show that the age of its dominance over us is done, not to mention it is filled with loot. We sailed east from the Iron Islands, then carried our longships over land, setting them down again in the waters of the Trident. We used that river system to move our host across the continent. The King of the Crownlands and the Stormlands tried to defend his city. Even though they outnumbered us, Uruk's superior battle tactics allowed us to win. King's Landing and the east coast of Westeros are now open to us. We spent the next few years reveling in our newfound freedom. We reaved wherever we pleased. The Greenlanders were too weak to hold on to their gold, and so we relieved them of it, just as God intended. We even reaved in Essos again. Our host had grown large enough that they were too scared even to try and fight us off. Uruk took pleasure for the revenge for his earlier defeats by the cheesemongers. Having won independence for his people and making himself their king, Uruk had achieved everything he had ever wanted. Westeros was a mess of squabbling realms, each open for reavers to take what they could. The old way has returned and the Ironborn thrive. But Uruk was restless. He began to seek new battles, new victories. The Trident was aptly named. It pierced the belly of the land like a weapon of the drowned god himself. Uruk remembered how quickly his fleet moved through it. The Trident could be used as a system of roads, allowing him to more effectively control the land around it. Conquering it for the Ironborn would bring rich green lands into our dominion, as well as countless thralls to work them for us. Taking the Trident will not be easy, however. Since the collapse of the Iron Throne, the Tullys of Riverrun have grown their strength. Whereas before they were lords paramount of the Riverlands, now they styled themselves kings of the Trident, and without a king above them to keep them under control, their influence over their subjects has grown, and so has the levy they can demand from them. To defeat them, our warriors will need better training and equipment. Ulrich uses the wealth he accrued over years of unchecked raiding to provide them with just that. After securing an alliance with the Principality of Dorne, Ulrich began the invasion. We landed in Maidenstone, as it was close to Riverrun. As long as we can take their capital and defeat their forces, victory will be ours. The Tullys came to meet us. Their host was as big as ours. If we attack them head-on, they will have the defender's advantage. It is uncertain we would win. But by the time the Tully host was raised, we had already captured a few castles, meaning that they couldn't attack us without us having the advantage. So they decided to recapture some of the lands we had taken. They split up their host in order to make it easier to supply them. This gave us an opportunity to strike at only a part of their army, making victory more likely. The rest of the Tully host scrambled to reinforce their comrades, and it looked like it was going to be a close fight. But then our Dornish allies arrived, granting us overmight against the Riverlanders. After that, it was a simple matter to take Riverrun. But the invasion was only the first part of our conquest of the Trident. While the Tullys have been driven out, their bannerlords still control their ancestral holdings, and they despise us. They follow the Undal faith of the Seven, and their culture is distinctly un-Ironborn, and it will be impossible to turn them into loyal subjects. They too must be driven out of the Riverlands. What followed was a 6-year campaign of Ulrich revoking the titles of the Riverlords and replacing them with worthy Ironborn. Everyone from high lords to lowly village masters was a target. Ulrich started with the weakest and the cowardly, those who would not revolt when he stripped them of their lands. Then he moved on to the stubborn, lords who would fight but could not withstand our might alone. The rivers of the Trident did indeed prove useful during this phase of the conquest, allowing our troops to quickly respond to any rebellion anywhere in the Riverlands. Some Riverlords tried to unite into a faction for independence from the Iron Islands. But Ulrich's campaign was so swift that by the time they could organize, so many of them were stripped of their power that even united they could not beat us. The most powerful of the Riverlords were the last ones to be destroyed. The Brackens were stubborn, but they were not especially cunning. Ulrich conspired to have Lord Bracken kidnapped, and he could not refuse us from within our dungeons. The Freys, on the other hand, were plenty cunning. They would not be defeated by such cheap tricks. They hid inside their formidable fortress, hoping to weather the storm. Ulrich did not intend to let them be. Forcing them into revolt, Ulrich massed all his host, and after months of brutal siege, the Freys were smoked out like the weasels they were. Now almost all the original Riverlords were gone, replaced by good, strong Ironborn. Few survived Ulrich's purge. Only petty lords who could not pose a threat to us, and the Blackwoods. Unlike their countrymen, the Blackwoods worship the Old Gods, though they hate us for conquering the Riverlands, and the worship of the Old Gods is a far cry from worshipping the Drowned God. Over time, they will get used to the new status quo, and become contented subjects of the Driftwood Crown. With the Riverlands thoroughly subjugated, it is only right that we rename our realm to something that reflects our new position. It will no longer be known as the Kingdom of the Iron Islands, but the Iron Empire. We also moved our capital to a place more worthy of an imperial seat, Harrenhal. It was built by Harren the Black over 3 centuries ago. It stands as the largest castle on the continent. It is in ruins now, requiring a fortune to rebuild, but all the wealth of the world is as easy for us to take as plucking an apple from a tree. So it is only a matter of time before Harrenhal once again stands as the greatest castle in the known world. The new Iron Lords of the Riverlands rule over a peasantry they do not share a culture with. Ulrich knows this will cause problems in the future, so he instructs his vassals to adopt some of the traditions of the Riverlanders, leading by example. This results in a creation of a new hybrid culture that Ulrich hopes will one day be practiced all across the Iron Empire. Unfortunately, Ulrich has made many enemies in his life. especially since he systematically unlanded almost the entire nobility of a kingdom. This caused him to be murdered by one of his defeated foes. Having lived until the age of 63 and having achieved everything he set out to and more, Ulrich has earned his place in the Drowned God's watery halls. He was succeeded by Dennis. Dennis was Ulrich's first son and was always by his side during the long decades of his rule, so it's not surprising that he continued Ulrich's endeavor to make the Iron Empire the most powerful realm in Westeros. Ulrich had already mostly made that happen, but there was one kingdom that still posed a threat to us. The Reach is the richest and most populous kingdom on this side of the Narrow Sea. They control the oldest Westerosi city, the most fertile lands. Their trade network is unparalleled, and their fleet is surpassed only by our own. They cannot be allowed to exist. To defeat them, Dennis had to reform the Empire's army. While it will still mostly consist of conscripted peasants, its core will be organized specialized regiments of professional soldiers. This reform would cost a lot. The free cities would pay for it. When that was done, Dennis marshaled the Empire's new army and brought its might down on the Reach. After a quick war, it was under our control. Dennis remembered how hard it was for his father to expel all the river lords from their Trident, and he had no intention of repeating the process in the Reach. Instead, he released all the Reach lords as independent High Lords. This way, they would not be a threat to us, but also won't be a burden. Not all the lands were given up, however. The Shield Islands and the Arbor both hold significance to our people. The Arbor is rich and home to the largest shipyards in the former Kingdom of the Reach. The Shield Islands, now renamed to the X Islands, are a perfect base for our longships to set sail from in order to reeve up and down the River Mander, as well as to make sure that no Reach Lord gets any ideas of reuniting the Reach. Dennis was already a grown man when he donned the Driftwood crown. After only 12 years of rule, he died of a stroke. His heir was Ralf. Only 13 years old when he became the ruler of the largest realm in the known world, his youth did not make him weak. In the first years of his reign, some river lord, who was graciously allowed to keep his land, revolted. Ralf proved he was worthy of the throne by smashing the uprising. As he grew, he only became more and more aggressive. At the age of 25, he declared war on the independent kingdom of the Crown Lands, once the center of power in Westeros. The conquest was easy. When the Crown Lands were subjugated and Ralf their undisputed ruler, he renamed it to the Kingdom of Blackwater Bay. After all, it was no longer the seat of a kingdom. Despite accomplishing much in the few years since he donned the Driftwood crown, Ralf wanted to achieve something truly remarkable, to distinguish himself from his esteemed predecessors who brought Westeros to heel. He decided he would reform the faith of the Drowned God into an organized religion, thereby ensuring that the worship of the one who dwells beneath the waves will always persist. To do that, he will bring all the holy sites of his faith under his rule. Most are already in the Iron Empire, with one exception. Far to the north is Bear Island. It was once a river base for our people to pillage the surrounding lands. It will be so again. The Kingdom of the North and the Vale are allied, so we will have to fight both. Ralf had a plan. He split his army in two. The levy will stay behind at the Twins, where they will defend from any attack by the Northmen and the Whalemen. The elite part of the army will be led by him. They will sail up the coast and attack Bear Island directly. The plan worked perfectly. With all the holy sites under his control, Ralf gathered all the most influential drowned men, and together they reformed their faith into something that will endure far into the future. Ralf became something of a living saint. He used his position to convert vast swaths of his empire to the worship of the drowned god. With that act, the Golden Age has begun, and the Drumm dynasty became forever immortalized as the saviors of the Ironborn.